Welcome to Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. I'm Simon Redfern, the Dean of the College of Science, and I wanted to share with you some of the exciting science and maths that we do here at NTU, including the many opportunities that you'll have to study and to learn from world-leading scientists across the schools in the college. Some of our best graduates go on to a wide range of destinations at top universities worldwide, including MIT, Harvard and Oxbridge. However, even if you don't expect to stay in science research after graduation, the technical knowledge, the analytical thinking, the problem-solving skills and other skills that you'll acquire will open up a world of many career possibilities. So here are some examples. First of all, from the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences. And here are some examples from the Asian School of the Environment. And finally, let's take a look at some of the examples from the School of Biological Sciences. We have frequent interactions with industry, so that our curriculum and our degree programs are always current and relevant. As a student in the NTU College of Science, you will get the opportunity to learn in a beautiful campus with state-of-the-art facilities, conducive education and research, and from some of the best scientists in the world. We hope to see you here soon.
All right, thanks a lot for joining me today. So my name is Marek Mutfil. I'm an assistant professor at School of Biological Science. So I'm a plant computational biologist where I use big data to understand how plants evolve, respond to stressful conditions, and how they produce valuable metabolites. So with me, we have our three alumni. So first we have Glendon. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Glendon and I'm currently a teacher in the JC education system. And I teach biology to J1 and J2 students.
All right, thanks a lot. Chini, could you please introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Chin Yi. I'm from the class of 2010 and I'm currently a TCM physician at Thomson Chinese Medicine.
All right, Ivan, do you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Ivan, and I'm currently a business development specialist at Johnson & Johnson.
All right, thanks a lot. So let me tell you more about SBS. So I will tell you more about the programs and initiatives that we have going. So we offer I think multiple unique aspects. So we provide you with a fixed core, which gives you grounding in fundamentals and ensures that you pick up the core skills needed for biology. But on top of that, we also give you a plethora of different electives, so that you can tailor your education to your interests. So we have many electives, modules, and other opportunities. So we're also providing you with many opportunities to gain experience before actually starting a real job. So we have tons of internship opportunities, international exchanges, and alumni sharing to build your network. And we also realize that biology is becoming more and more data-driven, so we are also providing cutting-edge courses in data science to get you ready to work with big data. At the same time, we are using a cutting-edge way to teach you, which is called outcomes-based teaching and learning, where we really align the courses in such a way to you what you'll learn at the end and how you can use those skills. All right, so this is here you can see our programs. So SBS offers a single degree program, and in addition, we have also second majors and double majors. So let me tell you a bit more about these. So for the second majors, we offer one in medicinal chemistry and pharmacology. So this is a collaboration with the School of Chemistry, Chemical Engineering and Biotechnology, And taking this would allow you to take many different paths into research and development of drug and vaccines. We also offer a second major in biomedical and structural biology. So this is something you could take if you're very interested into the drug and vaccine discovery and design and protein engineering. And this gives you then ample opportunities to pursue research and development in biomedical startups and pharmaceutical companies and others. So for the food science and technology, second major, you would, as the name implies, learn all about food science, processing and engineering. And there we're collaborating with the Wageningen University in Netherlands, which is one of the top places to do food science. And this would give you multiple options to pursue career in various food industries. So as I mentioned, it's becoming more and more important that we know how to analyze big data in biology. So for this, we offer a second major in data science. So there you would learn, statistics, mathematics, data analysis, and other aspects of data analytics. Let me just scroll this forward. This. Yeah, sorry. And this would again give you ample opportunities, to work, bioinformatics, computational biology, personalized medicines, and many others. Okay, so for our double majors, we offer two tracks. So we have biomedical sciences and psychology, and biomedical sciences and biobusiness. So for the biomedical sciences and psychology, we collaborate with the School of Humanities Division of Psychology, where you can take tracks in neurology or psychology, and after doing this, you can, for example, become a psychologist or a clinician. For biomedical sciences and biobusiness, we offer courses in bioentrepreneurship and regulation. So if you're kind of more business inclined, this is something for you, and you can then continue as a manager in a bioindustry, healthcare, or any biomedical startups. Finally, we have a double degree in the biomedical sciences and Chinese medicine, which is a 5-year program where you spend some years in the Beijing University of Chinese Medicine, where you learn how to combine Chinese medicine with a modern biomedical approaches. And when you do this, you can then continue as a TCM clinician, and you can also work in a hospital as you would like. Okay, so in addition to that, we have many research groups that you could attach yourself to at SBS. So we have really many different aspects of biology covered. So we have the biological data science, where you can pursue the computational biology, but we have also groups working on cancer, immunology, neuroscience, plant biology. And also, we have more different aspects of molecular biology, such as proteomics, proteins, genes, genetics, genomics, structural biology, and drug discovery, and traditional Chinese medicine. So I think we have many things covered at SBS. Okay, so there are really a plethora of career paths that our alumni can cover. So here are just some of the main categories. So many of our alumni pursue career in healthcare, in biomedical and pharmaceutical industries. We also have some educators. Me myself, I'm doing a lot in data, biological data research. Some of our alumni, work at startups or even establish their own. And many of them also pursue other careers in entrepreneurship. So there are many paths that you can pursue after completing your studies at SBS. So with this, I conclude the introduction to the SBS. So let's go on with the sharing session. So the questions. Right. Okay, so for the first question, so this one is directed to Ivan. So those questions were submitted by you guys some days ago, but we also take live questions, right? So you can scan the QR code and submit your question at slide and we'll take it. Okay. So anyway, the first question is directed to Ivan. So could you tell us about what is a day like for you at your work? And yeah, please.
Sure, Prof. A day at my work currently as a business development specialist, I deal with both sales and marketing. So it's truly from planning, strategy, all the way to execution. I come up with the brand plans. I come up with the key activities that is driven towards how the market is currently like. So I think some things that you brought up, like the courses at School of Biological Sciences, right? We do have a plethora in terms of immunology and as well as drug discovery and whatnot. And this space is really booming in terms of immunology. More therapies, or rather say more therapeutic areas are moving into immunology as a drug therapy for the treatment of their condition. So understanding all this will definitely be very helpful for me in my role as well. That actually helps to boost up my credentials when I'm becoming a business development specialist, and this helps me in terms of like shaping the key strategies that I am working towards for the brand.
Okay, excellent. So basically, you are, I think, doing things which you didn't take courses for, but I think being exposed to many aspects of research at SBS made you ready to jump in and
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So I think the learning in terms of formal courses like immunology and also drug discovery definitely is very much helpful to what I'm doing today, as I do have better understanding of the drug itself as well, and how the mechanics of the biologics behind it. Yeah, that really helps me to springboard beyond what a usual, if someone without a biological background, definitely.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you for sharing. So the next question is to Chini. So could you please tell us your views on the future of traditional Chinese medicine in Singapore?
Well, I think that in Singapore, traditional Chinese medicine is going to be increasingly accepted as one of the main healthcare treatments. So in my clinical practice, I see more and more non-Chinese taking up Chinese medicine treatment, and also on a national level, for example, in 2020, end of 2020, MOH actually started a pilot program. So if you have conditions like chronic low back pain or chronic neck pain, you could actually go to the public healthcare institutions, get a referral from the specialist outpatient clinics to go to the acupuncturists in the hospitals. And those costs will be covered by the Medisafe. So Chinese medicine is also moving towards the public healthcare as well. Yeah, it's not just a private practice. And okay, talking about private practice, the major medical groups like Parkway Shenton, Thomson, Raffles Medical Group all have Chinese medicine department in it as well. So we're moving towards a more integrative medicine kind of pathway in the future. So I think there's a lot of room for advancement in Singapore for TCM. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for sharing. I think also at our at SBS we're also pursuing some kind of more modern approaches to study TCM. So, for example, my group is working on a TCM plant which has strong anti-cancer activity, and then we're using data analysis genome sequencing and assembly to figure out actually, the molecular basis. So, this is something you can also pursue at SBS. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. But please take the advantage to scan the QR code and submit your question on Slido, which we can. Thank you. Which we can then answer to you live. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. So, Glendon, could you please tell us, how if you had to go, for a teaching program, or applied for any teaching scholarship. So, how did you get into teaching?
Thanks for your question, Prof. Okay, hi to all students or prospective students who are interested in this particular pathway through SBS into teaching. My pathway was a bit interesting. So during my time, I entered SBS first on a degree, and after my first semester, I could apply for a teaching award, which was a scholarship from MOE. I do believe this system has changed right now. So if you're interested in this pathway, do go and check it out on the MOE website. But that was my main career trajectory. So after my first semester at SBS, doing well enough, I applied for the scholarship after my first semester. I went for a few interviews, and after that, I got the scholarship. And that's basically one pathway. Another pathway would be to directly enroll into NIE if you are truly interested in being a teacher. And I do believe NIE covers some biological courses. But my pathway was the pathway where I would finish my degree first. So I do a degree at SBS. After that, I proceed to NIE for a postgraduate diploma in education. And that's how I became a teacher after finishing my degree at SBS. How did I find this pathway? I actually prefer this pathway because right from the start, I had a genuine interest to go and teach biology at the JC level. And for those of us who have been through that pathway, the JC biology curriculum is pretty wide-ranging. It's quite in-depth for students at the age of 17 and 18. So in order to prepare me for that prospective job, I needed to be prepared in terms of my knowledge to go beyond questions that were in the textbook. Because students of that age would tend to ask, teacher, why? Why do these things happen? And if I was not prepared in that knowledge, I would not be able to bring them beyond the classroom. In addition, the modules in SBS, the wide range of modules from proteomics, histology, where we learn how to cut animal material, put them in microscope slides and view them under a microscope. Topics in cancer, topics is under virology. All this really prepared me for all these interesting questions, and it enabled me to facilitate discussions with my students in class so as to further drive their passions in the classroom. And I really felt that this pathway has helped me become a better educator in my last 6 years as a teacher so far. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. So let's move on to the next question. So this one is actually for me. So the question is, how important is cross-disciplinary work to be in the future, and how it will manifest? So I think I see it firsthand. So as I said, nowadays I think the biology becomes more and more kind of big data oriented, right? So nowadays it's possible to sequence a human genome just for $1,000, right? And we are hearing more and more, for example, about personalized medicine, right? So I think nowadays it's very easy to generate, tons of data, gigabytes, terabytes of data, and it's becoming clear. We don't know really how to analyze this data, right? So for this, we need to, I think, become more and more proficient in data analysis as biologists. And we realized that as SBS, and therefore we offer those multiple courses where you learn how to program, to develop algorithms and statistical methods to analyze genomic, transcriptomic, and proteomic data. And I think also, I guess our alumni will attest that, when you start working, right, you very often work in a multidisciplinary team, right? So, for example, some of our alumni work in a software company, which is developing biomedical software, and they are the biologists within the team, the only one, right? So they need to learn how to speak to software developers, they need to know what kind of lingo to use so that there is a understanding. And I think this is also important if you are interested to be a team leader or some sort of executive. You need to know what the different team members are doing, right? So you need to at least understand the fundamentals. So I think this is what really is good about SBS, in that we provide you with tons of courses which are very wide ranging and would make you ready for the very cross-disciplinary future. Okay, I hope that answers the question. So let's move on to the next one. So this one is to Ivan. So what kind of internships would you recommend for SBS students who want to work in the business field?
Yeah, I think in terms of internships or CCA to pick up to help you to work in the business field, I wouldn't say that there is a particular internship or CCA that you should pick up. I think, Prof, you brought up a point in your earlier question where in terms of multidisciplinary or cross-disciplinary work. So ultimately moving into a business function, understanding your teammates, understanding the cross-functional fundamentals will be very important. So I would say that in no particular preference of specific function for internship, but however, perhaps the advice is understand yourself a little bit better. If, for example, like myself, I'm inclined towards sales, I take up a internship in sales and marketing because although sales and marketing are different functions, I took up a marketing internships, and it helped me understand that how these two functions could possibly work together and what kind of synergy is required in these two functions for the business to grow. Yeah, so in particular to my own experience, that will be it. And for the students out there, if there is a particular function that you are looking towards to, find out what are the functions that are related to this particular one, and then you go towards that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I think it's also I think job after university is also kind of a lifelong learning, right? I mean, I guess you have to constantly educate yourself. So I think it's going on forever, right? All right. So now is a question to Chini. So could you tell us what do you wish you have known if you could return to being a university student? What would you do differently if you you could start from scratch again?
For me, I would think that I would have appreciated a talk like this that I could have attended. That someone senior or a mentor would have told me that, look, university education is about shaping your character, learning skill sets that may or may not be relevant to your future jobs. And right now in this current environment, working environment, like Prof said, it's more about multidisciplinary training already. So we have to keep an open mind, and then we have over time, at least for me in NTU, during my undergraduate days, we actually developed. I think my classmates and I, we have developed the grit, the resilience, adaptability, because for our course we actually went to Beijing for 2 years, so we were essentially living in a foreign place for 2 years, and it's just the whole bunch of us taking care of each other. So I think these are the character building that NTU provided for us. And after graduation, a lot of us ventured into different areas. Like we have friends going to do PhD, and then they ultimately became researchers. We had classmates joining the Duke NUS, and they ultimately became doctors, and they're bridging the Chinese medicine, Western medicine kind of communications. And then we also had many classmates and alumni who ended up setting up their own TCM clinics, and they're entrepreneurs, and they're doing very well right now. And we also have classmates who went on to develop robotic arms for twin arm massage. Yeah, so I think the basic training that NTU gave us during our days were really good foundation for us to explore further things outside, which as an undergrad back then we were unaware of. And then we were always like thinking, oh, how come we have to study this and that kind of thing. Yeah, so having this kind of talk with someone who has walked through the path and coming back to us, telling us like, look, you have to keep an open mind and so on. I think it will actually give us more assurance as an undergrad back then. Yeah.
Great, thanks for sharing. I think many students, when they start, they maybe don't know what to do, right? I mean, what they will do at the end. But I think the nice thing, you have some years to find out and many things to try out too. Okay, so let's take a break from the questions. So again, please submit your live questions by using the QR code. So we'll take them in a few minutes. So right now we just have some discussion points which you could pick up. So yeah, Glendon, could you tell me about some interesting details and fun facts about your work, like, and especially how science is being used at your work on a daily basis?
That's a very long question. Could you repeat again? Sorry. Yeah, it was quite a long question.
Yeah, could you tell us some some details and fun facts about your work, right? So how do you use what you have learned at your work in life?
Okay, so generally, typical job of a teacher in school it would be to teach the curriculum in class. But one interesting aspect that I do is every day before work starts, I like to turn on my news app and see what are the latest ongoing scientific breakthroughs or health-related issues. In the last 2 years, thanks to the pandemic, this has been quite easy for me. Every day there's a COVID update. There's some new variant going on. So what I like to do in my job to make science interesting and I would say realistic to my students is, hey, you're currently learning about proteins and stuff. You're learning about antibodies. You might wonder, what's the point of me learning this, Mr. Phua? But look at my news. Today, this new company has come up with a new vaccine. It's not based on a protein, it's based on the mRNA. Can you recall what we covered last week in class? So I find myself using daily live updates of the latest scientific breakthroughs in my lesson to try and engage my students to see the relevance in whatever they are studying versus what they might be able to apply in the future. Because for a lot of the young students nowadays, I think their biggest challenge is trying to map out what do I do with the knowledge that I have in school versus the knowledge that I can learn from external platforms like YouTube, news articles, or other kind of courses. So I find it quite of an interesting challenge for myself to try and engage them in this area to keep them realizing that, hey, science is all around you. You can use it and you can apply it to what you've learned. Another little thing that I do to make science interesting for me is, especially during the holiday sessions, I'll tell my students, so Chinese New Year is coming up. You are a biologist, and I said this to my graduating cohort of SBS as well. Once you do a degree in biology, and when you tell people you have a degree in biology, or you take H2 biology or whatever kind of biology, in their head, one word comes to mind, and that's called Google. Okay, I'm not sure this applies to you too, but generally when I tell people, oh, I take a degree in biology, oh, they will start to ask me all sorts of questions related to health, the diseases, diet, muscle. Okay, so I get all sorts of interesting stuff. I've got a friend before who asked me, Glendon, if I don't exercise for a period of time, will my muscles turn to fat? That sort of thing. So I like to challenge my students. This Chinese New Year, okay, or whatever family gathering, I guarantee you, okay, someone's going to ask a biology-related question. And I endeavor you to have the courage to speak up when your relatives have mentioned something that isn't biologically sound. Like, for example, if they say something like, oh, a pineapple tart is 100% just fats. It's just fats. But from biology, they know, oh, it's made of other things. There's some carbohydrates in the tart. Okay, there might be some proteins from the egg white. So I like to challenge them, at these family gatherings, if you hear something that doesn't sound right based on what you have learned from biology, have the courage to not correct your relatives, but to educate them on what you have learned, so that it serves as a platform for them to refresh and revisit what they have studied in the classroom. And that helps them in the mastery of the subject, as well as making you look quite good in front of your relatives, I guess.
Excellent. Great. Ivan, could you tell us more about, like the fun aspects of your work, right? So, and how do you use science in a fun way at your work?
Yeah, I find that the fun aspect of my role now is really putting clinical data to life. Yeah, and by putting clinical data to life, I'm referring to like how when we have our pivotal clinical trials, the data set that we have in there, how do I put it into a marketing material? And ultimately, how do I bring forth this information with 100% source of truth to the physician? And also, how is it applicable to the physician in his clinical practice? Yeah, so I think that's the fun aspect, and it's a little bit tricky. How you bring something dead to alive. Yeah, so with the studies that I did with biological sciences, I understand clinical data much better. I'm able to break down the clinical paper much better. I'm not out there to say any other courses are bad, but I'm just saying how bioscience actually helped me. So I'm recalling I have a colleague who actually did business, purely business, and he was telling me, oh, it takes him the whole day to break down a clinical paper. And then when I was flipping the clinical paper, I took 2 hours. It's like, why do you need the whole day? So I mean, it's because we have the expertise. Yeah, and then when we have the expertise, it's intuitive to me. It's easier for me to catch on certain data and how to bring it to life. So I think that's the interesting aspect, bring something dead to life. But without the studies I have in biological sciences, I won't be able to do that. And I took courses in bio business as well when I was in NTU, and that helped me, gives me the sense of how businesses are looking at a problem. And then I have the background of the science. So how do I amalgamate this both? And I think I was the best person, hence landing up in this role.
Right. So like combining things is also, I think, a good feeling, right?
Yeah. Combining both business and biology is definitely a good feeling.
Excellent. Okay, so Chini, could you let me know like what kind of like knowledge and skill sets your degree program has equipped you with to make you do well in your job?
Okay, so I'm currently a Chinese physician, right? So obviously my Chinese medicine aspects of the degree helped. For the biomedical sciences part, because we learned a lot on like the scientific methods, on critical thinking. So we actually, for me, during my clinical practice, I actually am more aware of perhaps possible drug-herb interactions. So when my patients tell me I'm taking like XYZ drugs, so I'll be thinking in my mind, okay, maybe I'll have to avoid using certain herbs so that there will be lesser chances of any interactions or adverse effects. At the same time also, it helped me better complement the Western medical treatments that they're having. For example, there are clinical studies on how acupuncture could help to boost maybe IVF treatment. And then while supporting patients who are undergoing IVF treatments, I can make use of all this evidence from the clinical studies in my practice to help them further. Yeah, so yeah.
Excellent. So, Glennon, could you please let us know your opinion? So you took many courses, right? But which one do you think really helped you, excel at your job right now?
I would say a bit of every course, but I can't really put a point to exactly which course made a big difference in my job as a teacher, because if I look through my entire range of modules that I took as an SBS student, each and every core module actually helped me to prepare for some topic which I have to teach to my students. So I would say the whole degree as a whole helped me for the content-wise. But I do recall one particular module. It's a module where I got to dissect dissect a mouse for an experimental purpose. We were harvesting some mouse which was treated for some special diet. We took the organs out. After we harvest the organs, we got to treat it chemically. We got to cut it with a very, very powerful knife into very thin segments. And then we put it on a microscope slide, stained it, and we got to look at it under a microscope. So why was that module so important to me in terms of preparing me to be a teacher? Is because it really broke down to me all the step-by-step processes which is involved in creating a research topic, all the way to the gathering of the data. And I find that very useful for me in my job as a teacher because quite often students would like to go out and do enrichment activities. They will do research projects. They will go beyond the classroom. They lack that experience in how to go about starting on research. They are not very familiar with the terms to use. They're not very sure on how to go about finding research and stuff. And finally, they're not very confident with how to craft their whole procedure for their experiment. So that module actually gave me a lot of experience in how do I break down a lesson to teach undergrads on doing research. And I could model after that whole entire module. So I wasn't only just picking up the content from that module, I was picking up how the professor actually structured their program so that when I go ahead and mentor my students, I could roughly follow the same pipeline and apply it to my students to help them train and gain experience and confidence in doing their small research projects. Yeah.
Excellent. So not only you're learning the material, but how to deliver the material. Cool. Okay, guys. So I have one last question or discussion points to the three of you, and maybe Chini, you could please tell us what kind of advice do you have to the prospective students? What would you think they should do?
I think if you are joining College of Science, SBS in particular, then you have to keep an open mind. There are a lot of opportunities, a lot of learning opportunities, especially so recent years, because I was actually from the pioneer batch of the double degree program in biomedical sciences and Chinese medicine. Back then, there were not so many choices like the second majors, the double majors. So looking at the introduction Prof shared earlier, it really got me very excited. Yeah, and in fact, right, for Chinese medicine, in recent years, there has also been a trend towards data mining, because with Chinese medicine, there are like thousands of years of information that is being left by our predecessors. So all this information, they're actually big data, and if we could dig through them, and that is what some researchers in China are doing, we could actually get a lot of information. In fact, the Nobel Prize winner Tu Youyou, she got her inspiration for that drug discovery from an ancient text. So yeah, I think SBS is getting very, very exciting in recent years. Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree. Ivan, could you please give some advice to the prospective students?
Yeah, I think the advice that I have for students out there is really dare to try. I think similar like what Chingy is saying, right? Dare to try. And that there are so many things that entails now in the working environment, right? Like I think Chingy was saying that data science is involved, and data science is also involved in pharmaceuticals now, and I'm sure it will move across all industries. So there is much more of a need of having the understanding of a plethora of subjects, but being a subject matter expert in one. So the advice is dare to try, willing to learn. So try and learn, and I think you will definitely do well.
All right, thanks a lot. We have to move on to the Q&A. So you guys have sent in some live questions, and they are shown here on the screen. So the first question is the first question is, could you please take it, Glendon?
Okay, hi to the person who asked, what qualities would you strongly encourage your students to develop in terms of biological studies? Firstly, I would like to encourage you guys to be fearless. Fearless in the sense that once you've reached university, I think regardless of whichever module or degree you're doing, it's a stage where you are mostly an adult. So be fearless in trying to go out there and get the knowledge that you want. All right. So it's not so much about waiting for things to happen. If you're really very interested in biology studies, okay, yes, you have a set of modules in this semester, but be fearless in going beyond those modules. If you would like to find out more, take the courage, take the first step to approach an expert, a professor, a senior, to ask more. Okay, from there you may never know. You may get more opportunities, some research work, to find out more about a topic that you like. Be fearless, okay, to find out from other people in areas of sciences which you are lacking in, so that you can better appreciate biology. For example, if you are not someone who has been trained in physics, in my year 4 of my degree, I realized to analyze a lot of the data that we get from using live specimens, okay, we need to use something called mass spectroscopy, okay, something which involves physics. I wasn't trained in physics, but in order to better understand that set of results, I had to go and find my friend from the physics side and say, hey, do you mind teaching me about this, so that I could better appreciate biology. And I think it applies to a lot of other topics as well, coding nowadays, okay, computer science. So be fearless in your pursuit of finding out things that you love about biology. Okay, and that's one quality I think most students should have. Second would be the quality of, like what Ivan said, daring to try. So if you can't find what you want to find in Singapore, go overseas. And SBS is really supportive of that. I did an exchange in Sweden because I wanted to really find out a lot about the cancer research. And back then, during my time, Sweden was one of the leading front runners in research therapy for cancer. So I did my exchange over there. So be fearless and dare to try to broaden your passion for biology to wherever it takes you. So that are the two qualities. Dare to try and be fearless. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So Ivan, could you please take the first question? I cannot read it from here. Could you please?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I think that's a very long question. There are like 3 parts to it, so I will take them piece by piece. So how would the biobusiness degree at SBS be relevant to my current occupation? To the audiences and my panelists here, apologies, I was born a little bit too early. I didn't have the opportunity to take the course, but I did take some modules in biobusiness. Then I think SBS was still in exploratory phase of moving into biobusiness. So they did offer certain biobusiness courses. And how I find that it was helpful for me is that then there was a project for me to develop a company or develop a drug per se. So it was a project. So we make a pseudo company. So we went through the entire process of trying to find that right drug, looking at the market size, and then doing the marketing, the post marketing. So we actually went through the whole thing. And part of the course, we had to also speak to a bio entrepreneur, which I spoke to the CEO of Veridus, who shared a lot of our experience on how do you set up a business in the biopharmaceutical space. So I think that was really, really helpful as I see that it's applicable to my current role in understanding the epidemiology. What is the market size I'm looking at? I can't be calling a number to my top guns as like, I'm gonna get you $5 million, and then they'll definitely say yes, but then I'll struggle, So I think that really helped me a lot. And to the second part, how does my job involves biological research or wet lab? No, it's no lab work involved. That's another research function arm that we have. and it is not limited to just drawing up business plans. So I think, Prof, you brought up that NTU bioscience is moving into data science. And I thought that, hey, if I was born later as well, I'd probably take that up too. Because currently in my role, I do have to look into data as well. I do have to analyze data too, in terms of sales, in terms of competitive data, where and which areas should I play and put my investments in. So that may not come to me intuitively if I do not have the expertise or even the training when I was in an undergrad. So I mean, I struggled a little bit, but I thought that if I would have that opportunity at that cost, that would definitely be very much helpful for me.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. So, Jeannie, I think the second question is directed to you, right? Could you please take it?
Okay. Are there any other career paths for the double degree of biomedical science and TCM except being a Chinese medicine clinician? Okay, so our graduates, right, we that there's a whole range of career paths that we got ourselves into. We have alumni who ended up going to do NUS, becoming doctors. We have quite a number of them joining the ministry, specifically MOH, and they're very highly sought after. We also have entrepreneurs. We have alumni who became research coordinators at the hospitals doing clinical studies coordination. We also have alumni who chose the biomedical aspect, so they furthered their studies they did PhD basically in life science or research related stuff. What else? We have administrators, we have people going into administrations and so on. Oh, we also have teachers. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a wide range. Yeah.
I think so too. I mean, there are so many career paths you can take. So maybe right. So I think the fear is, the first question says, do you have to be good at maths to study biology, right? So I think you have a strong opinion about that.
Okay, so I say to my students quite a bit, Jenny, if you're a biologist, you're strong in that area of science, our math might be lacking. Personally, my math is not super awesome, not just super bad, but to assuage your fears, do not worry. You do not need to be super good in mathematics, but you need to be good at basic math, especially if you're going to do lab work where you are going to have to dilute down your samples for a particular treatment. Like during my FYP project, I was tasked to grow artificial human skin and I had to treat it with some hand wash from a company, which I can't tell you. Okay, so my job was to make sure that I diluted the correct concentration of that sample for testing, and to do that involves math, all the way down to the micrometer range. So expect to do math at that level, but you do not need math to the level of integration, cosine, tangent, the kind of things right now which I'm saying, which probably are making four of us a bit uncomfortable, as per you if you haven't do a degree in biology. So you do not need that high-level math, but you should be proficient in math. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you still have to take some math courses. You have to pass them, but I think this is mostly in the first year where you're being put through a gauntlet, right? But I think after this, when you start doing real research, I think all of those things integration, differentiation. I mean, those are pretty much
Long gone. They take a backseat. They take a backseat. Thank goodness, huh?
Yeah. So if you're afraid of maths, I think it should be fine. Just power through it and finish the course, and I think it will be okay. So there's another question. Maybe one of you could pick it up. So if somebody has not taken biology before, how will it be to study biology at SBS? Is this going to be tough or me?
I can take it. For me, I didn't take biology in JC. Yeah, I was okay, I'm also not from the H2 or whatever generation. I'm actually from way before. It's like I was on physics, chem, econs, math. Yeah. So no, you don't have to. I managed it. I bet you will also. Yeah. Yeah. The I think I remember year one we have a biology 101. Yeah, and then that is the I think they still have it now. So that is the introduction, and it's not that difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are no very strong prerequisites, right, for studying biology. You should just have decent degrees, and I think you're good to go. So there is a second question. I think also for you, Chini, if you could take it. So I think
Yeah.
Chinese. Do we need to know it?
No, you do not have to be very good in Chinese to know the herbs, because your Chinese will improve as you do your degree. So for us, right, I mean, I remember for my first year taking the TCM courses, a lot of my classmates, we were actually taking notes in Hanyu Pinyin, because we couldn't, yeah, we couldn't catch up. But over time, we got used to the pace, and the lecturers slowed down for us also. So, and of course, by the end of the 5 years, our Chinese proficiency was like super good. Yeah, we could even chit chat with the Taobao owners directly with the Chinese owners and so on. Yeah.
So I suppose another advantage of the TCM course would to be to elevate your level of proficiency in Mandarin and Chinese.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So you were sent for 2 years to Beijing, right? You were living there, and how was it?
It was quite fun. I think there was a lot of freedom for most of us because, yeah, back in those days, I think our parents were pretty protective. Yeah, so it's like a sudden freedom, and then we learn adulting quite fast also, because being away from home, and in my days, right, China wasn't so cosmopolitan as well. Yeah, so we learned to live on the very slow internet, and there was Skype, but there wasn't like iPhone when I was an undergrad in China. Yeah, so the smartphone generation wasn't there yet. We cope well with it. So yeah, it's a good experience for everyone to try. I mean, even if you're not doing TCM, you're not going to spend 2 years overseas. You could, through other SBS degree or double majors, right, get some chance to go overseas and do other stuff as well. I think it's a good learning experience for everyone to try and live away from home for a while.
All right. Thanks a lot for sharing. So, Glendon, the last question is for you.
Thank you for saving the best for last. No, just kidding. Okay, so thank you very much for this question. First thing first, during my time, SBS didn't really have a minor or a double majors. And in light of that, I hope I'm still being a good teacher right now to answer your question. So, no, so I think the key idea here is more of what kind of teacher you want to be. Because the one biggest fear I have as a teacher, the one question which I'm unable to ask or answer my students is, Mr. Pao, what do you know about this industry or that job? Which I have no experience in because I was mostly on the biology track and the teaching track. So my advice to you is the minor or the double major doesn't really matter if it comes to biology content. Because at the end of your 4 years in a SBS bioscience degree, if you are required to find out something new about biology, as per what Ivan said just now, you can just read that online. Within 1-2 hours, you are more than prepared to guide the student through that particular discussion. However, if you're going to pursue a minor or a double major in something which is not related to biology, I would say it definitely makes you better equipped as a teacher to answer questions that are not related to biology, especially towards career. So my advice to you is doing a minor or doing a double major or not even doing any of the above won't make you any less prepared to teach biology content. But if you could do a major or a minor which is not related to biology, it definitely makes it easier for you to share potential career advice to students who are interested in other areas besides biology. So that's my advice to you. And actually for the minors, there are quite a large range of minors you can get in NTU. And during my time, the most popular one was a business minor. And I guess because of that, looking at the high number of SBS students who started taking a business minor, it only made sense for SBS to come out with a business and bio business double major. So I think you have to thank my cohort for that. No, just kidding. But yeah, so nonetheless, a minor or double major will not impact your quality of teaching as a biology teacher. Yeah, so yes.
Excellent. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for sharing, right? And to you, prospective students, please connect with us. So use the QR code on the top left to connect with us on social media. And if you have any questions, please use the QR code or URL on the bottom right, and we'll answer them as to our best abilities. Okay, thank you so much for joining. So thank you, alumni, and thank you all for joining us. And we hope to see you at SBS. Okay, bye.